Yeah. Um, First off, just want to say I'm proud of our football team and all the people that engaged in their civic duty on Tuesday with exercising their right to vote. Several of our athletes was their first time to do that, and I think that was a really powerful statement for them and a powerful statement of growth in their personal lives. Here at Mizzou, we're chasing two dreams: a life with football and a life after football, and want to make sure that when football's over, that we're a positive contributor to society. And felt like we took a positive step towards that this week. Um, this week on the bye week, we're trying to, again, refocus on the things that we can control and improve on, try to get healthy, focus on our fundamentals, and try to get rested up for this last 5-game stretch in the SEC. It's been a physical first 5 games. We're dealing with our fair share of injuries just as everybody else is, and look forward to getting these guys back some point. Do have an update. Xavier Delgado went under a procedure, tightrope procedure on his ankle, and he will be down for several weeks. It will not be the entire season, but we'll monitor it week to week. And so with that, I'll open it up for questions.
First one's going to come from Gabe DeArmond from Power Mizzou. Gabe?
Yeah, Eli, when we last talked to you, you said you wanted to see the film of everything that happened. I was curious of kind of your reaction after viewing that film as far as the halftime deal and then your reaction to the SEC's, discipline.
We put out a joint statement with Florida regarding the incident and what all went there and shared conversations with our commissioner and respect their decision. And we're moving on from the incident. Actions have consequences, and our actions have consequences, and we're dealing with those consequences.
Next one's going to come from Peter Baugh. Peter?
Yeah, Eli, with Xavier Delgado out now and with Dylan suspended the first half, who are there any names you're thinking of looking to in that guard spot?
Yeah, a lot of names. Lots of names. So, we got practice this week. We'll work on it. I think we're down to 9 scholarship offensive linemen and whoever else is available to play at that position, we'll get them ready to play. So I don't have any names for you right now. It's kind of an open competition, and whoever we feel like gives us the best opportunity to be successful against Georgia is who we'll go with.
And on the defensive line, do you have any update on Kobe Whiteside? I know you said the bye week was when you were going to evaluate.
He's progressing back nicely, faster than we anticipated. I do not know if that means he'd be back this week or next week versus Georgia. Target is more of the South Carolina week, but his work ethic and toughness may change that. But we're not putting any timetables. When his body's right, he'll tell us.
Dave Matter from the Post. Dave?
Eli, what would you like to see from your defense going forward down the stretch here, just compared to what you've seen, last few weeks, and what your kind of vision for that group is?
I think we have to be more consistent, specifically in our pass defense. We're giving up a lot of explosive plays, whether it's in coverage disguise or in man-to-man situations. We have got to be consistent in defending the pass. I think we have to continue to set edges in our defense. I think the ball's getting outside. I think we've done a nice job of correcting some of the mistakes that we made earlier in the season. And then, everybody has an answer for it. We have to prepare to adjust. And then turnovers. We did force a interception, which was awesome, and which is great. But we got to continue to get more turnovers, and offensively, we got to take advantage of that. So, we're at the halfway mark, and there's a lot of room. There's a lot of things they did really good, and there's some things that aren't, which again goes back to being consistent. We have to play a consistent game for 60 minutes. We have to play a consistent season, and I know we're working hard to get that fixed.
Eric Blum from the Tribune. Eric?
Eli, I know it's kind of an obvious question, but I'm curious, with an expected bye week this week, not the unplanned one you had in the middle last month, but what is the function for your coaching philosophy or whatever for a planned bye week, and how do you plan on progressing through that?
Yeah, I think it always starts with self-reflection and looking back at your self scouts and figuring out what you did good, what you did bad, and what do you need to improve on, and then focus on working on those areas. That's number one. Number two is to get healthy. This is an unprecedented amount of snaps versus SEC quality opponents. And so you got to try to make sure that you get your guys back fresh, ready to go for the last 5 weeks of the season. And then, the last thing is you want to get a head start on your next opponent. You'd like to maybe get a couple extra days of practice on them while they're working on somebody else. You're focused on them, and maybe that gives you an advantage in a game. So that's really the three areas that's our philosophy.
Kyle Pinnell, I think I skipped you, but you're up. Kyle from the Man-Eater.
Okay. Yeah, Coach, over the last few weeks, when you've won the coin toss, you've elected to receive, but you've also elected to defer earlier in the season. Just as a head coach, what exactly goes into making that decision? And is it something you look back on, like against Florida, where they really take advantage of having the ball on both sides of half?
I think each game's different. It depends on – there's a lot of different things that go into it, whether it's weather, whether it's style of play, whether it's a possession game, whether it's trying to start fast, whether it's a matchup situation. I think each individual game dictates what you want to do. And then there's also an element of you have to win the toss. So you're only got a little bit of say in that. But, no, I don't regret the decision to take the football. I regret the execution, but I don't regret the decision.
Suichi from the Star, go ahead.
Hey, Eli, quick first one. Did you have an update on Jatorian Hansford? It seemed like he got out there on Saturday, and we were kind of under the impression he was done for the season.
Yeah, so, when I announced that Jatorian was done for the season, that was based on the stipulations of previous, where this year wouldn't count towards your year of eligibility, because if that would have been the case, he would have returned and only would have played in 5 games, which wouldn't have constituted enough snaps. But because we're in a situation where this year doesn't count towards anyone's eligibility, he's able to return from his shoulder surgery. He got clearance from the doctors. He's on what we would, a snap count, limited snap count on what he can do. But he's been working hard, and that's a position that's been really hit hard with depth. And so for him to be able to provide us with some quality depth and some snaps has been awesome. Yeah, it's just one of those unique COVID situations that's worked out in our favor.
And second one,
do you have another one?
Yeah, you alluded to this, Eli. Just we're 5 games into the season, but you've had a couple bye weeks just to kind of heal up, and five straight games now at the end of the season. I guess, how much are you talking to your guys just to do whatever you can to stay healthy and especially down already however many players?
Yeah, I mean, you got to get rest. You got to get sleep. You got to eat. You got to hydrate. And you got to practice safe social distancing. I think yesterday had the second highest mark of COVID cases in Boone County, and so obviously that's a concern for everybody. We're going to have a couple of days off here, and so people have got to make sure they're monitoring themselves and who they're around, so I mean, it's a tremendous challenge. Take COVID out of it, it'd be a tremendous challenge to play 5 in a row. Add COVID to it, it's a tremendous challenge to play 5 in a row. I think ultimately with what I've learned this year is that all you can really focus on is the 24 hours you have in front of you. And then, we have a plan, but be prepared to alter that plan based on whatever circumstances may arise. And so I'm not putting in my mind anything other than, let's just try to get through Sunday when we get everybody back and pass those COVID tests, keep on moving.
Jack Sobel from the Man-Eater. Jack.
Coach, I know you've given a couple injury updates already, but do you have anything on the potential timeline relating to Larry Boreham?
No. I mean, y'all can ask me. You can keep asking me. I'll tell you when he's ready to play, but he ain't ready. And I think I updated that he'd be a couple of weeks yesterday. I think I did, but yeah, I mean, but when he's ready, I'll let y'all know. And
just to follow up on that, I know I think PFF had him at like 0 pressures allowed this season or something like that. What's he meant to your offense so far?
Well, I mean, he's a consistent player who's played a lot of snaps in the SEC. He's got great size and quickness. He's able to really help us establish the line of scrimmage. Him and Case had a consistency factor there. And anytime you're playing a tackle position that gets isolated against usually their best pass rusher. For him to be that consistent is always a strength and gives you comfort as a quarterback. So it means a lot. We definitely miss him. But Javon Foster did, his absolute best against Florida, and he's getting better. And so we're excited about what he brings to the table and his opportunity to play and contribute. I mean, he's a scholarship player that we, that is capable of playing in this league. So it's his opportunity and his turn. And so we'll go from there.
Mitchell 40 from Power Mizzou.
Eli, on the SEC call yesterday, you referenced drops. I'm curious, we've seen them kind of come in bunches this season, having games without and games with multiple. Is that coincidental, or is that indicative of anything to you as to maybe a cause?
Yeah, it's a lack of focus. Two biggest times we've had drops have been on the road. So can't drop the football, can't give the opportunities. Got to capitalize on opportunities and can't let one drop affect the next. Got to have a display mentality. I felt like as a team, we allowed the drops to affect our psyche, and we can't do that. So it's a lack of focus. Our guys can catch the ball. They've proven that they're able to catch the ball. They got to focus on catching the football, and we got to throw it better. I mean, some of these passes aren't accurate, and so we're putting these guys in bad positions, and it's a consistency thing that we have to address within everybody in the organization, including myself, and that's what we're working on.
Dave Matter from the Post. Go ahead.
Eli, did you have any COVID updates with anything traced back to the road trip? Knock on wood. All right.
0. But 14-day latency period if you know anything about COVID, so you don't count your chickens before they hatch.
Right.
But no, I'm more worried about leg injuries than I am COVID right now.
Max Baker, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, when you took over the job, did you have a sense that Connor would be back so quickly, or what was sort of the impression you got when he, when I know because he had just torn his ACL right as you had gotten the job? What was sort of your impression of that?
Yeah, actually, right when I got the job was when he had his surgery. And remember visiting with him in the training room a couple days after, and him going home over the Christmas. Well, he actually stayed here for a while during the Christmas break, and then going home, and then coming back, and then going home during COVID. So, he's done a nice job of just focusing on small gains and working his way back. In our 4 practices of spring, I just remember him doing everything he could to try to progress, and really proud of how he fought to put himself in a position to be available.
I know he didn't spend a lot of time at home, during quarantine. I think he just said he just went home for a couple of weeks. Were you here I know you probably weren't with him personally, but what do you remember him doing during those couple months when everyone was sort of home and he was here?
Zoom calls. We had Zoom meetings and Zoom calls, and he plays a lot of video games. So I'm sure that's probably what his priorities were.
Gabe.
Yeah, just kind of a big picture question for you here. I know play callers have different approaches going into games. Some guys, script X number of plays. Some guys script a lot. What's your approach on that? I mean, do you go into each game with certain sheet for your first 15 plays, or how do you go about it?
Yeah, we have our opening 10 plays that we don't get off of unless we get to a third down, and usually get back to it. So, in this past game, we went 3 and out. The first 2 were openers. The third was a third down. Didn't execute. We came right back to the script and worked our way down the field. Should have bumped those plays up earlier in the script probably. So, but yeah, we scripted our first 10, and it's, whatever we feel like we're trying to. There's a specific goal with the first 10 to try to gather as much information as we can about what the defense is trying to do to us, and yeah, that's that answer. I mean, was that it?
Yeah.
Ben Hockman from the Post. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach. 2 questions for you. One, I know we're in the middle of the tornado that is the season, but if you can just step out, is there anything you've learned about yourself as a leader, as a coach here in the SEC, that's a positive?
I haven't had a lot of time to reflect on, my contributions to whatever we're trying to accomplish yet. do know that I can keep my poise in situations. I do know that I don't tend to have an emotional reaction or over emotional reactions in certain situations. And I can flip the switch and have an over emotional reaction when, 4th and 1 and you don't take the free first down when somebody jumps offside. So, yeah, I don't know. I haven't had enough time to think about it. Maybe ask me that next week and I'll put some time into it this weekend around the fire, figuring out, what I've done. But I think I'm growing. I know that. I know I'm developing. I know I'm getting better. I think that's probably, I'm getting better as a leader. I think I'm developing an identity and formatting, exactly who we want to be and how I want to react to situations. And yeah.
Yeah.
It's been
And
challenging.
I bet. Yeah. There's a second question about Damon Hazelton. How would you assess his season so far with the Mizzou Tigers?
I think we got 5 games left, and season's not finished until you get to the end, and we got a long ways to go as a team, collectively, with Dane. And I think all of us want to be in a better position at the end of these 5 than we are at the first 5. So, I don't want to point out anybody in particular. I just know that we all need to continue to push to have the very best last 5 games that we can.
Ben Arnett, go ahead.
That was some Mike Pence stuff right there.
Eli, kind of talking earlier as you did about focusing on 24 hours at a time and the nature of this season. Is there anything at the midway point that you feel like has really helped in keeping the players from feeling like things can be chaotic at times with all the different changes and things that are thrown at you?
I think the only thing you can do is be consistent in your leadership and your style and try to be as upfront and honest with them in every situation that you can and not withhold information. I think the toughest thing is not the processing, it's the not knowing. When you're unsure of what's next and the what ifs, they'll always make it tough. So, as a staff and as a team, we've tried to be as transparent about everything that's going on as we possibly can and not withhold information so that people can handle it. And I think our team's done a nice job of handling whatever new challenge they face.
Jack Sobel, you're up.
Forgot to unmute myself. Coach, I'm obviously not going to expect you to name 2 deep at each receiver position, but do you plan on using the bye week to kind of reevaluate with so many guys getting snaps there, who can get more snaps or maybe who you can scheme up some more targets for?
Yeah, I mean, our number one core value is to always compete, and we got to do a better job of identifying and not subbing as many guys and just letting some guys play. But that's a focus of what we're trying to do, and people got to take advantage of their opportunities when they're in the game.
Colin O'Brien, go ahead.
Hey, Eli, before the fourth quarter, Florida was bringing 5 guys pretty consistently in their pass rush. And I know Todd Grantham can be kind of an aggressive play caller sometimes. How do you anticipate seeing more of that going forward, though, just with the banged up nature of the offensive line and maybe a younger guy at quarterback, or was that maybe a Florida specific thing?
I think it was more of a Florida specific thing, but anytime somebody has success against you in this league, good coaches tend to copy it and see if you got it fixed. Obviously, they didn't feel like they needed to blitz us because they could just create one-on-one matchups by putting 5 people across the board on the offensive line and expecting that one of them would get home. And yeah, I anticipate that probably be everybody's base call against us in 11 personnel until we stop it.
Eric Blum, go ahead.
Kind of an odd question, but with Tommy Tuberville winning a seat in the U.S. Senate, could you ever see yourself running for public office under any scenario, Coach?
Tommy who?
Tommy Tuberville from former. I think he coached at Auburn. He won a seat with the U.S. Senate over Doug Jones.
Yeah, you're not from around here. It's Tuberville.
Did I say that? I apologize.
You said Tuberville. It's Tuberville. Could I ever see myself as a United States senator? I think that's probably pretty brash of a thing to try to forecast the future.
Or running for any public office. Just you already have a public job. I was curious and inclined to ask you on election week.
I got enough problems trying to be the head football coach at the University of Missouri to try to even wade into the political waters. I mean, my gosh, that is that's its own beast. I don't know if I'm tough enough or cut out for that. Although I did dodge some questions like they did in debates earlier, which is, I mean, I don't know. But no, I don't have, aspirations necessarily to be in a political office. I'm just trying to have a great practice Thursday. I would like to have the best 2020 season possible for this football team and really put all my focus and energy and effort into try to give these guys the best advantage they can. They've worked really hard. They've sacrificed a ton and trying to get them the rewards for playing football. So yeah, I don't know. That's pretty stressful. So I hadn't really thought about running for public office.
Dave Matter will close it with a question from you.
Eli, Tyler Beatty didn't get a lot of touches in that game. Was that just kind of a function of how the game unfolded, or just like what Larry was doing more?
No, I mean that was a screw up by me as a play caller. I mean, I got to get him in the game more. I got to find ways to get him to touch the ball. I think the biggest thing that happened to us offensively is we had no rhythm. We had some, and then we dropped a pass. We attempted a trick play and got minus, and then the rhythm just offensively went bad. And anytime you don't have a rhythm, when you have play designs for specific people and you just shove them in there and bring them out, it doesn't work. You got to get into that flow where you're keeping them off balance like a puncher. You're jab, 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 and hit them with a knockout or hit them with the undercut or whatever. And we just weren't able to get the jab going. And consequently, I think that hurt our ability to get Tyler in the game. And so that's on me. It's on me.
All right, we'll let Coach go with that one.